So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. So it's not in HD, so the quality isn't the best it can be, so please forgive that. I've had my little book for a number of years now and I love it and I keep adding to it, but recently I acquired some extra Neocolor 2s to give me I think 24 pages or 20 pages. And I've made them in quite big squares so that I can take my little book and a colour book or a sketchbook with me, and I can leave the Neocolor 2s at home because they're not that delicate, but they're really good in my little Derwent art bag. But sometimes if it's the temperature, they can get a bit warm, they'll melt. And you can actually use them melted if you want. You can melt the other ones. I'm not sure about these, but I know the Neo Art ones you can melt to get lots and lots of colour out of them. You can snap them if you want and use them on the side to get lots and lots of colour if you're using them as a traditional artist. But I kind of like mine in one piece. I'm a bit of a tight Yorkshire lass and I like to keep them as good as new if I can. Some I've had for a while, some don't say Neocolor on them, some have got different packaging, some have got different labels, and some small pieces I've had for 20 odd years and they're not the Neocolors, Aquella, and so they don't actually have the Caran d'Ache logo on them. Some are called Neo Art, so there's all sorts of different things, but I've basically put them in colour order, in numerical order. So when my sleeves are in my Derwent art bag, I can look at them and I have this perfect set. So I have my cool greys, my warm greys and my browns. I have my yellows, apologies for Alfie under the table. I have my light yellows, cool yellows, warm yellows, oranges, reddy pinks, purples, purpley blues, dark blues, cold blues, and then I have all my greens at this side going to olives. And I like this way of working, so when I've got them on the desk, I take them out of the bag and I put them on my desk and I flip. And that's how I work, and I quite like them like that. And I do have a piece of paper in between each one, which is just a piece of photocopy paper, which I think it's about that length, isn't it? A tiny bit more. And I just slotted it down the back. The one thing you've got to remember is these are very well pigmented, and if you pick them up and put them on any surface, you will get contamination. So you can see you don't want to lay them on your colour book. So if you want to put them on your open colour book page, put a piece of paper. That was clean this morning. So as you can see, picking them up, the colours are going to come off a little bit. I think I'm going to do them in the same order. So I'm going to transfer the colours from there into this new colour book. And this is a giveaway that I've been trying to do for a long time. I've tried to do lots of several things. So what I thought I'd do is put the Neo colours in here, and then at least when people get them, they don't look at it and think, oh my goodness, it doesn't look like that. Because it takes an awful long time to get that to look like that. But it has passed the time of years, and it's okay. So you need double-sided sticky tape, you need good quality sketchbook paper, either extra wet strength or 160 GM is quite good, and this Daily Round It. They're about £1 for this size. Now you can get a bigger one for £2 and chop it down, or this one basically is going to give you, it's going to give you 4 pages. So it's the perfect size. In England we call this A5 and we call this A6 roughly, and a 4 by 6 photograph. So 4 inches by 6 inches photograph And so basically, if you use that, it's going to be about right. It's a bit shorter, but again, we fold that in half, and I think we call that A6. So I've got my guillotine to make some squares. I've got my double-sided sticky tape. I've got several sheets of cheap photocopy paper or printer paper, and again, that's A4 size, and A4 size is 2 A5s. So basically, when you pull these from here, you're going to get an A5 size, an A4. So that's printer paper, and that's a page from an A5 opened up. So 2 A5s make an A4, and 2 A5s, so 2 A6s make an A5. So if you cut that one in half, that's an A6, 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 A5, A5, A4. That's if you're in the UK. But it's roughly 4 inches, and if you do it the photograph, it wants to be a little bit less than that, probably 3.5 by 5.5, and I will measure that so I can double check. And that's in cms, which it would be. Bear with me 2 seconds. So it's 6 by 4, but we want it to be a bit smaller, so I'll measure it when I cut it down with my huge ruler, which will be in the way. So these, I find this is the nicest thing. It's bendable, but it's strong, and that's going to protect the pages. So your colours are going to go in between these, but you can use any photo album. You can use an old, as long as you can get the photographs in one side. This is the best one that opens like this. If you put the photographs in the top, you will have to readjust how you won't want to cut. You'll have the same size pages, but you'll cut this one differently. So instead of cutting it lengthways that way, you would cut it that way, fold it over, slot one in. But this is sideways. But I think these are quite universal. They're £1.50, 24 pocket photo album by Paperchase. And I kind of like that. I bought them because I looked at several others. I did like that. If anybody's got any questions, pop them in caps. This is a live show recorded for Ustream.tv and also YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. So welcome, Treasure Cat. Now it's only 1:30 in the UK, but that's quite early in the US and quite late in Australia at the other end of the planet. So welcome everybody. So I'll cut the papers first. I'll make the pages first, then I'll cut the papers, then I can measure them. So we are going to put pages into this book, and we're going to put as many as we can of the Neo Color 2s. So I think I've got 20 pages. So they are all my Neos. And that allows me, it's quite a lot of colour on there, that allows me to take these out and leave these home. So if you were going to the hospital or going to the doctors, or you're going somewhere and you want to do a little bit of colouring, but you want to take your colours with you, this is going to fill quite a few pages. But you've got them at home safe. I'll bob that one out of the way. So the first thing we're going to do is make the pages. So we've got some A4 paper and we're going to fold it long ways. And you can use a bone folder, which I don't seem to have my hands on. The backs of scissors is another good one, but you need to get it quite flat. you've got any scissors in the way. If you've got a ruler in the way, it doesn't work. A paintbrush will do. If it's got a flat edge, that will do. I've got a hairband to hold. That's the other thing you could have to hold this shut. A hairband, a rubber band, a bobble, a hair bobble, and it just keeps it shut. And then you can put your 2 water brushes in it, so it has a double. Put your water brushes in it, and then that's all the colours you need and your colour book. So I shall do this, and then I shall colour from mine so you can see how to use it. It's a long ways. You can tear it or you can cut it. I'm just going to tear it really, really quickly. And then you want to fold them across. So we folded down long ways and then torn this. As I say, if it was a top loading photograph pocket, Polly Pocket, then you want to kind of cut the paper, fold the paper in half and cut it the long ways. This one is sideways, so what you're basically going to do is slide that into there, and you do get a tiny bit of a gap, and you can do 2 things. If you've just got the neo colours, you're fine, but if you had a lot of colours like me, I've used that little slit on there, and I've put a label on mine. So inside mine are labels. But you don't have to do that. And what that's going to give you is, it's going to give you a page here, protected by that plastic. And it's going to give you a page here, protected by that plastic. So that means you have 2 pages on there. And this one, you want to fold this one again lengthwise. And I was very surprised that this cheap photocopy paper doesn't split, but when you think about it, it's not actually doing much except for flipping open. You're not tearing it, you're not putting any pressure on this. If you were going to think, you might put a bit of sellotape on there, but mine's been there for years and it's not done anything. I've not even managed to tear a page out. So again, we've got colour here, protected by plastic. Has to be protected by plastic. Colour here, protected by plastic. We flip that over and we'll make another 2 pages. And there's really no reason to use card. You can just use cheap photocopy paper. It doesn't matter if it's got writing on it, you're not going to see it. You will see one side, but you won't see the other. Okay, we'll just fold that one in half. So the only reason you would have to change this is if you didn't have a 6x4 side opening, side opening. I'm getting like Hilda Baker, aren't I? Getting my words mixed up. It's not connotation, and I can't think of the word. Orientation. That's what I wanted to say. So again, protected by plastic. We're going to put colour on there. We're going to put colour on there. Protected by plastic. Now, if you only had so many, and it sits in the crease, it's not going to go anywhere. So again, that one slides in this side. Now, if you have a lot of colours that you want to put in this little book, which probably when you've made it, you will, you can buy, and this is a bigger size. This is what we would call A5, but this is a bigger one. But you can get them A4, and what you can do is rip them out of here. Now, this particular one I bought to send across the pond, and I might actually do that, I think. This is a good size. If you have an A4 sketchbook, So you could have all your colours in here, and you could put this at the back of your sketchbook, and you'd have hundreds of colours in here. And that's got to be the best 21st century colour travel watercolour box there is. But if you didn't want to do it this size, as I said, there is an A4, and I just can't put my fingers on it, which I put it handy. Oh, is that it? No. It looked like this. And what I did is I pulled the actual photo section out. So you can rip this out, and you've got to rip it long ways away from each other so it comes out cleanly. And then I cut this bit off here all the way down, and that gave me some more plastic that fits between. And they were loose in mine, so let me see if I can find them. And then what you could do with those, but they are, you get 5 for £1 of these little polyviews, and I think you get 5 in or 6 in a pack. I think this was a 5 set. And because they're only £1, you can, I think I've taken them out, you can sellotape them in the middle here. And what that allows you to do is, in between where you would normally put a photograph, you can put 2 pages. So we've got protection against the colour, we've got the colour, we've got colour, we've got colour, we've got colour, we've got protection. But there's no protection in the middle. So if you had these colours rubbing together, not rubbing too much, but touching, they would contaminate each other. So you use a piece of cheap photo paper, and it's the right size, so you don't have to cut it like I did and make a mess. And you can just sellotape it in the middle, and I'll find one there. That's sellotaped in the middle. So we have a real page, and that's a fake middle, which would sellotape, you take your paper out, sellotape it into the corner to lie flat with that page. And then you would have 4 pages here instead of 2. But I'm just going to do 2. So, but because you've got a pocket here, you can make another one. So I'm just doing 2 inside each one. And if you don't like the torn edge, put it at the bottom and you will never notice it. If you put it at the top, you will, and it might drive you crackers. But if you put it at the bottom, which hopefully I have, your top's going to look really nice and crisp. If it does bother you, use a guillotine. But for speed, I'm not. So then turn over and make another page. Now if you only have near colour 2s, you could do a page of colour, and a page of colour wouldn't really, it will blunt your crayon. Oopsie, I made a bit of a boo-boo there, but never mind. It will blunt it, but it won't take too much colour. But your page will last you a lot longer. It's all to do with preference, and I'll come to that in a minute. So we'll put that one in there. So got any questions, guys? Pop them in caps. Thank you for joining me. Flip that over. And the good thing about this is if your hands, the torn edge at the bottom, because I made a bit of a boo-boo there, but you'll notice you are not going to see that, because I'll show you later why it won't bother that really. So then we want another one, so fold that in half and then across, If you score it, you probably get a neater tear. And then we'll fold that one, and it's fairly quick and cheap. The only thing you've got to spend is a couple of dollars, a couple of pounds. This is $1.15, so they're normally about £1, and they're £2 for a larger one. And I normally use the sea white extra wet strength, and that means that if you put water to it, it's not going to disintegrate. But I'm actually going to use this Daler Rowney one because it's $1.60. And again, that's not expensive. Don't use watercolor paper for two reasons. One is it's blooming expensive. You're not going to get a flat surface, so your color's never going to go on nice. And when you wet it to get your color off, it's going to disintegrate. The color's going to go into the watercolor. So instead of having a page with the watercolor sitting on top, it'll half be on top and it'll disintegrate into the water, and it's a waste. And as a tight Yorkshire lass, I don't like that. So if you can remember to make a decent crease with a bone folder or the edge of the scissors, or some people use the end of the handle of the scissors, that's probably better. If you don't have a bone folder or the edge of a ruler. And it just if you do this, what happens is you just get a lovely fold. And again, if you don't like the rough edge, put it at the bottom. And I promise you will never notice, because sometimes your colour goes over if you make individual squares, and most of the time you're just looking at your colours. And your sketchbook paper, which is covered in colours, should be the same size. So again, you just bone fold that. It's going to give you a nice crease, and that goes into there. So I think we need two more and we're done. Very quick. And you can do that again if you want. Just I'm going to do that when I've finished with a bone folder, because it just makes it neater, and it folds. It will never tear because it just wants to flip, and it's protected by this layer of plastic. So again, we've got another one, and if you everything's effort, that little extra effort makes the tear a little bit neater. And then I normally do corner to corner because I'm not clever enough to get it right. And then a little bit of a crease on that one. And it's not perfect, but as I say, it's cheap photocopy paper, and we've used 8 pages. And there should be one more. And because this is the back, and if they don't go in, you can just very carefully tease it in up to the crease and fold it down. And then because we've got room for a pocket here, we can do with another one. There. And again, if you just do that extra effort with the bone folder, you get a better scan. If you don't like that, just I'll show you another way to do that. If you really don't like tearing and you want it to be neat, so this time this one goes in this side. And we've got a page here and a page there, which is protected. So we've got 2 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So you've got 24. So you've got 24 pages, and you can either do 6 squares. So if you've got the peerless, you can do 6 squares. Now when I do them again, I'm going to make bigger squares. But this was the prototype. These were the prototype, the ones that I've had for years, and they've never disintegrated. It doesn't matter how much I've used them, and I've revamped them twice. But I've decided, because my hands are ill, I'm going to do bigger squares. And so I've replaced mine, and the other one I'll be giving to my daughter to take to uni. So I've got bigger squares of my Derwent pastel pencil. So there's 72 big squares, 72 ink tens, and this is why my hands are poorly. So what you could do is write them and get a toddler, not a toddler, but a young person to scribble them in for you. These are some odd ones that I have kicking about, but they were water-based, so I put them in Prismalo. So then these are antique gold. I think this is the Derwent metallic, and I've got Caran d'Ache metallic. So if you have the 12, you could make 12 squares full of colour. The size of the colours determines what you have. This is Faber-Castell watercolours, and again these are very vibrant and very creamy, like the Caran d'Ache. So the Caran d'Ache are in there. I did that with the Gansai Tambi watercolours, and I've got some other watercolours in there, and the Hydrus. Now the Hydrus you don't put on paper. The Hydrus you put on the plastic, and then you need plastic between, and they never dry out. They're just tacky. But you need to leave them for a couple of days dead flat, because it's a liquid and it will run. It's just like water. So if you have to keep that one flat first, and try and keep that one flat, or I actually did mine on that side, and they will smudge, but the colour's identical, so you're not contaminating colours long ways. It's just that way. So the colours of the squares determine what you want. So this one is a flesh pink, and I've used quite a lot of it. So if you want to make this because you're going away for so long and you've only got the Neos, then put a whole page of Neo of one colour. Or if you've only got a few, mix some colours together. So I'm going to do this on here, I think. So we can get rid of our photocopy paper because we don't need it anymore. And we now come to our actual pages that hold the colour. So you don't really want to use these for colouring in, because this paper isn't good enough. It's perfect to make the page, but it's not good enough to hold the colour on top. For that we need 160 GM, or you can have a sketchbook that says extra wet, and C White do a paper which is perfect, but I'm going to use this one because it's good quality, and they're always about £1. So the beauty of this particular one, and I've got I need 12, so I've got 12. So I've got 4, 8, 12. 4, 8, 12. So I need 6 pages of that. So you can have this size, you could have a bigger size, or you could have a small one. It doesn't matter what the size is, it's got to fit on your page. And so I'm going to use my guillotine for that. So is everything all right? Is everybody okay? Have you got any questions? So this one needs a bit more room. I always get this upside down. Okay, put that in there. And it's actually always easier to get it to fold down if you've got a funny one like I have. Now, the pages don't have to be perfect. It all depends on how accurate you want it to be. You can spend a long time, or you can spend a little bit of time. It all depends on what you want to do. The nice thing is I actually made mine outside probably about 5 or 6 years ago, because next door's dog wasn't very well and she couldn't be at home, bless her. So I brought the dog round and she sat with me in the sun and passed away peacefully, and that was so wonderful because she would have been on her own. And so I have a lovely memory, even though it was sad, but she was very old. I have a lovely memory of a good deed because my neighbour couldn't be there. She had to go to work. And she was in the sun with me all day. So sometimes you can have nice memories when you make things. So you can be dead square, or you can be as haphazard as you want. And sorry about the noise, I should have done this before, but I haven't been at my desk for a long time. And then what you can do is either measure it. If you see on my thing here, I've got some pencil marks, and they're because I know that this particular thing, I think is, oh dear, sorry, my hands aren't working well, is 45. So I think that's 210. It's just short of 210. So if I put here, and I've measured 210 there, oh, a bit out on that one, never mind. No, it's not that one. I don't know what I've done there, never mind. It's not going to make too much difference. Oh. Let me just use this piece of paper to measure, because of obviously somebody else has been doing something else on here. So what you could do is fold your original in half. Ah, it is the furthest one, look. And then is it that one then? No, it's not that one. Goodness gracious. I don't know how I did that then. I don't know how I've made mine, because so they want to be that one then. Let me try it on this one. Don't know how. That can't be right. Okay, use your brains, Heather. Fold them in half. And then crease it. It's not that marking, it's that mark. So it's that one. So there we go. Done it now. So if you fold the first one, and you do need a sharp. So that's slightly better. Now these are obviously square that are in my book because they're all a bit out. But it's just to hold the colour. Have you got any questions? I've just seen apples and nuts, not quite sure what that's about. That's probably me. Apples and nuts. So this needs to be good quality sketchbook paper and able to stand a little bit of dampness. And I did have another one, so you'll end up with all your pages. So if you're going to double up and put sellotape and plastic between each page, you need an extra lot of those. Put those in there. And you could make this up, and then you choose to have like a hairband, which when it's first done it looks quite neat, but as I've abused mine a bit, and that's quite nice. So you've got, you know, that's going to be the size, and it's going to sit nicely. And the reason it sits nicely is the paper is the same width, or almost near as damn it, as a photograph. So that's why you have the gap. So it sits really nice, and all you've got in there is your colours. Got any questions, or was that, I hope that wasn't as clear as mud. So I've got my pen. Oh, hi Danny, yes please, here you go. It's too big, is that one, but
Too big.
and 2 sugars please. Oh no, it's about
Okay.
please, thank you Danny. Right, so I cut one too big and I cut one too small. So I can disregard those two. I don't know whether it'll turn up the other little one. There it is. So most of those are the same. They're not perfect, but you know, it's going to be scribbled on in a minute. So you decide on what size you're going to do. So I think I'm going to do the same size, I think. So I did have a template, and again, it's, sure if I still got it. Sorry about the dogs making a noise. I can make another one. It's not going to be the end of the world. So the way I did the template is just do smaller squares. I suppose it matters really. Right. So the easiest way to do it. Could you shut the door, please, Nigel? Thank you. Sorry about the noise. I hope I'm not going to be on this. I did have a pencil. So you line up, and you can put a mark on that one, and 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 then you can see. I might have to make these a bit smaller because you want. Yeah, I'm not going to do. I'm going to do this size. This size works really well. I don't suppose it matters really. So just take that one down a bit, and that one. So because I wanted more. What, darling? Is that the C one? C.
Sorry?
C. I can't see what it is. It's a red box.
Tomato.
No.
Baking potato.
No.
Minestrone.
No.
Chicken.
C.
Sorry?
C.
Chicken.
So then if I do that, move that down a bit. I don't know where my Tim Holtz ruler is, but it's sometimes it's easier to do it like this. We want one square there, and I want one square on the end, and then I want 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That works perfectly. So one square in, one square in, and right, perfect. And then we want sometimes you've got to jigger about a bit, and then you've got that one and that one, and then you've got that one and that one. So that's going to give me like my original, not that one, come out. It's going to give me a name, the colour, and the colour swatch. So I'll show you a good trick if you've got a lot to do. That one's a bit out, that one. Right, so what you can do is you bend and nip, let go. You bend, you nip, and you let go. And that's giving you a concertina. And then you can make sure that all as near as damn it equal, and some aren't. Take that one out, it's too small. And then, I have to say not that cup. It's far too big, it's going to spill everywhere. Thank you. And you obviously use a smaller ruler, and then what you can do is you line your two lines up and you draw down. You line the back and the front, and you draw down and you line the back and the front. So you've marked all those on that side. So then if you turned it over, you could do that, but it would be at the back. So what you have to do then is to turn it over, and then you can bend it, nip it, let go. Get hold of it again, bend it, nip it, let go. And that gives you your concertina. So there's a little mark, should be on every page. If you're not happy, do it again. Bend it, let go. Make sure they're all level. Now mine aren't, but obviously if you've cut yours properly, they will be. Then you line that line up and that line up. And mine don't line up very well, I have to say. And then draw down that one. And then you want to line that one up and that one up. And draw down. And that one up. And that one up. Now you do need your hands to be working, which mine aren't at the moment, but never mind. There we go. And down. Now the first time I did this, I marked every single one. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, because all these lines are is to give you a guide. So now what you do is, this is a bit more difficult. Again, you nip it, you bend it, you nip it, you let go. And you basically do that when you do it with a pack of playing cards. And all you're trying to do is to get a little bit showing of every one. Now you can do it like this if you want, but and then you tap it down to make sure they're all equal, and you do the same thing. Because I used to do all mine individually, and they're all kind of slightly out. But if you do this, they're all going to be the same, even though they are going to be slightly out. And then one last time. Bend it, nip it, let go. Bend it, nip it, let go. And you only need a tiny mark. Now, yours should all equal up at the end, but mine don't. But again, if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Oh, I'm just having one of those days today. Now, I wouldn't have done it with such a large such a soft pencil, but there we go. So what you've ended up with is 3 squares, 3 lines there, one there, and 2 on the other. So I just do one because my hand is really bad at the moment. What you now need to do is to line them up. And I'm going to do one because I don't like this pencil line. So this is a job to do while you're sitting in the garden or while you're watching TV. This is the laborious job. But although it's, oh my goodness, when you see the benefits of the end result, it's worth it. And you don't have to do this again. If you use a good quality sketchbook paper, mine's lasted 5 years. And by magic, what we have is we have a colour swatch square, a colour swatch square, and 2 names. So I shall do the first page, and basically that's going to sit on here, and mine's not perfect, but and the next one will go there. So I'm going to have 2 lots of squares. Now you don't want to stick it in now. You have to colour it in on a flat surface. It's a lot easier, and it's near impossible. I know because I've tried it. So the first thing to do is to decide the colour, the way your colours are going to go. So I think I'm going to do the middle colours. And then I shall do greens, and then I'll probably put some of these at the back. So the palest one is this one. So I'm going to get my near colour, and I normally get a ruler. And I set it there. I'm going to zoom in a bit and you can see what I'm doing. So I hope everybody's okay. Let me just see if I can get that. So I've put that near the line, and I'm just shy of the line because the crayon's got a big end and it won't go to the end. So what we do, but I would use a very hard pencil for this. So what we do is I get a fine pen as small as you've got, or you can do it in fine pencil, and I find the name. This is pale yellow and it's number 11. So if you put the 2 colour swatches together, you've got a chance you can contaminate them. So I leave my colour swatches on the outside, but you can do whichever you want. So this one is going to say what's this one. Or you could do it at the bottom. You could do the name, the colour swatch, the name, the colour swatch. So the Graphie Tint, that's what I've done. Name, colour swatch. So you know that colour swatch is for that. This one, I didn't have a lot of room, so I split the name and I got more colour on my page. But I know that the first one is the top and the second one is the bottom. These are different because they're not, you don't have to do that with them. What did I do with the Derwents? I think I did them all like that. Yep, I did them all like that. This one, I think I'm going to put, how did I do the other ones? See, I didn't do a colour swatch for those. So I think I will do the colour swatches on the outside. I could do name, colour swatch, name, colour swatch. Yeah, I could do. Yeah, I think I'll do the name on top. So this one is pale yellow. And it's number 11. And I'm not going to touch that at all. What I'm going to do now, and you can see that I've done mine. That's how much I've used. But there is a little bit of pink on there. I'm just going to kind of see if I can get rid of that, or start somewhere else. Right, so if you've got a bit of, you've got to make sure it's clean. Scratch one way. So that's not really a good cover, but it's not bad. Turn it over, put the ruler down. And colour the other way. And if you hold it at the bottom, you won't snap your crayon. If you hold it at the top, they'll snap. But you're not rubbing too much, just gently. Now, if you want to, you can turn the crayon and make it into a point. And as you see, it's a better cover, just not perfect. So again, this way, and now not pressing down too hard because you will snap your crayon. Now there's a few little bits appearing, and that means you've almost filled every hole. So don't brush those away like I used to. What you want to do is smush those on because it's colour. And I think somebody said they used a little glass rolling pin to smush them on, but I can use the end. So I haven't wasted any, and that's all I've used to fill that square of solid Caran d'Ache pale yellow number 11. Pop the crayon back and get the next one out, and the next one is Sahara yellow. Now you can put the colours in whatever order you want. I would put your colours first, and they probably are already in order anyway, or you can put them in numerical order, or you can put them in whatever colour code order you like. So this one is Sahara yellow, and it's number 521. And that's what it looks like before. And again, do this while you're watching TV, do it while you listen to the radio, do it while you're outside. As long as you're not in full sun with your neos, you should be fine. Don't really want to press on hard. So again, a light covering at one side, turn it round and cross hatch it the other way. And then almost there, so turn it back. So I've got such a long rule, it's a bit difficult for me. And then you scribble that to the edges. Now pale colours do pick up unusual things. but you'll probably find, I mean, you don't have to do a square, you can do a triangle, you can do what you want, but the squares are the better sizes, or oblongs these are, and the middle one is slightly different, but it doesn't matter. You've got a good coating of colour on there. That one goes away. Then we've got, and you don't have to work across, you can work up, down, however you want to use your colours. So this one is Naples yellow, number 21. And again, we just go with this one, and you scratch the colour. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put 2 rulers and then you just kind of do this if you wanted, or you can use your finger. Depends how neat you want to be. It's picking up a bit of this pencil, so I wouldn't have done it in this pencil if I could have found another one. And then to be very careful, putting the ruler on here, if that's what you're going to do. And then you've got a really nice, neat edge. And make sure you've covered the entire surface, and you're going to have a real nice amount of colour on there. Now obviously if you're doing a 20-foot watercolour page, it's not going to do it, but if you're just going to do a normal watercolour book with small spaces, that's going to last you quite nice. And there's quite a lot of colour on there. Again, that one goes away, and you just go through your colour collection as you come to them. So it's really easy. So if they're not in order, get them into the order you like them. And then this is what you do. So the next one is canary yellow. I think I'm going to put mine there and then put the colour on top, I think. So the next one is, and I'll show you why in a second, canary yellow, and that's 250. And then you scratch your colour. Now if, let's see, get quite a good edge on that one. This one's going to be a bit trickier, so if you're on a particular surface, you've got to kind of cover it, because you will crane over everything. And then we just put that onto there. And mush those extra little pieces down. So it doesn't matter if you've got bobbles, because you're going to use a brush to get it up. So it doesn't have to be even, you just got to make sure everything's covered. So there's a big gap between that one and that one. So say you had just 2 colours. I don't really want to do this because this is for the giveaway. Let me put, I'm going to cut number 5. But if you didn't have a middle colour, you could scratch another one here, and then you could mix these 2 together. But I seem to have a lot. So if you had 2 yellows, you could mix 2 yellows with a white, and then yellow with an orange, and you could get some really nice colours. But I wouldn't have done this pencil. You can, I mean, you can scratch like this. I find that if you do it, it's not really bitty, but you can do it either way. If you want to just hold and scribble around in circles and make sure you've got a nice edge, then that one's fine. And I didn't label this one first. I always label them first so I know what I'm doing, and you don't pick the same crayon up twice, because I've done that as well. So do as I say and not as I do as I say and not as I do, because I should have labelled that one yellow number 10. And I do the last one. So, and label it golden yellow number 20. Now what I would do if I didn't have 6 yellows, I would, as I say, mix them together. Even if I just did half a square with this colour and half with an original lighter yellow, I would make six yellows from a yellow, a white and an orange. Because if you did a layer of yellow and then put some white over the top, or a layer of a square, half this square again, and put half white and half yellow in it, and this last one would be half of the yellow and half of an orange, and then that's going to give you a really rich kind of colour. So if you had a pale yellow here, I would mix these two together. So I'd have that one with maybe a white, then I'd have another one, I'd have some yellow with that one, I'd have lots of yellow with that one, and then I'd put this one here, then this one I would have this one but with an orange, and that will give you a darker yellow than that. So it wouldn't be quite an orange, because of course on the next page is coming out oranges. I've got mixed up a bit. What's that one? That's vermilion. I think I put that one there, but I think that one was to go there. Might have got a bit out of sync, I have to say. So I'm lucky because I've got about 6 oranges that I can use. So that's the first square. So that's almost finished. The only thing to do is to get a water brush, and you don't want, I think I'd do a smaller one actually, this one. But I want this to do as a giveaway, so I'm not going to do it on there. Now I've finally managed to work out something I can do. Let me see if I can find one that didn't work well. I think I've got one that didn't work quite well. This one. So the pale, the Sahara yellow is, you just use a square at the bottom, and then you start across and you keep going until it gets pale. And so you've got your colour swatch. But whoever gets this can do that to it, and then they'll learn what colours there are. So I'm just going to put the colours in. Somebody needs to just put the colour swatches on, which is the fun part. Has anybody got any questions? So that now, this silly long ruler. So then you've got to decide where you want your colours. Now I like to open, I did it with the Neos. They're unusual ones, so they didn't count. But here, I can open, I'll just pan out a minute. I can open up my book, and although the plastic's in the way, I can see all my yellows, almost to orange. I've got my very pales, and I've got my warm yellows, and then I've got my oranges. And I like that. So the first page, I put the obscure ones. They could have probably gone in with the oranges, but the ochres and the light ochres and the pinky salmons I put in here. And they're normally flesh tones, so you could put your flesh tones together. The next page is the greys, white, pale grey, and dark grey to black. Then I've got my cold reds and my warm reds. And again, there's nothing to stop you doing a square. If you've only got 6, do a square of these and mix them up. So you can have pinky oranges and pinky reds and reddy pinks. I then have my pinks and my purples. I have my unusual greens and my unusual blues. And then I've got my traditional greens for foliage and greens. Purpley blues and cold blues. Cold browns, warm browns, olive colours, and then I say these obscure ones that were in my other set. If I'd have had this set first, I probably would have put them in there somewhere. I'd have put this with the pinky red. The last red would be that one. But I bought these after I'd made the book, so. Has anybody got any questions? And so then all you have to do is decide where it's going. Now I may not put these in the book. I'm going to just let the person who gets them put them in. I don't put much sticky tape because then you can let them. Alfie, shush. So if that was your colour, or if you wanted yellows and oranges, then I would put yellows there, or I'm sure somebody will have some plastic, put them there and put the next on the other side and put the plastic in the middle like mine. But I think the yellows might go there. So you tear this off, and again, if you push this down, oops, you see some yellow came off there. If you make sure that's down, peeling off is going to be easier. So I'm going to do that so the person who does it peels it off. And I'm going to technically put that one there. So the next one would go there, protected by the plastic. The next one would go there. The next one would go there. Oops. Yep, the next one would go there. And there. And so the person that's going to get this book, it's going to be full of Neos. And I think I had 4 ladies. So the other last thing to show you is the end. So I haven't got to this one. So this has done 2 colour pages. This has done 1. That's done 2 squares. It's done mine. It's done this one. This has only done mine. So you don't waste a lot. So I hope that made sense, and sorry about the barking and things. So thank you for watching.